Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here, and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today, guys, I'm going to be continuing my AFL 2024 round reviews and round previews, reviewing round 7 and previewing round 8. Of course, started with the previous round review. It was round 7 Anzac round footy, and it started on Wednesday night with Melbourne defeating the Tigers by 43 points in what was a good game until the last quarter where Melbourne blew it away. On Anzac Day, it was Essendon and Collingwood playing in a draw. This one was another good game where both sides couldn't quite capitalise on late chances, and it ended up in a draw. Anzac night, it was GWS defeating Brisbane by 54 points in a bit of a smashing at Marnie Croval in the end, and Port Adelaide defeated St Kilda by 10 points on the Friday night, but it did come at a cost with some injuries to Powell Pepper and Alir. Saturday afternoon, Adelaide defeated North Melbourne by 57 points at Blunston Arena, and then in the twilight, it was Geelong defeating Carlton by 13 points in a brilliant game in the MCG. Saturday night, Fremantle rediscovered their best form, defeating the Western Bulldogs by 24 points in the West. Sunday started off with Gold Coast defeating West Coast by 37 points on the Gold Coast, and then to finish the round, it was Sydney smashing Hawthorn by 76 points to finish Anzac round. Here is the ladder. Geelong are undefeated on top. Pause if you want to have a look, and North Melbourne yet to win at the bottom of the ladder. And the Coleman medal sees Charlie Colonel on top, followed by Jesse Hogan and Jake Waterman. Alright, time for the round 8 preview, and on Thursday night it is a standalone showdown. It's going to be Adelaide and Port Adelaide prime time Thursday night footy. This is sure to be a big game. Of course, Adelaide, as we know, are rebuilding their season, trying to get a couple wins. They've gotten a couple wins as of late, and definitely going to need a couple more. And this is a game they simply have to win if they want to be even in the conversation about making finals. They're going to have to get quite a few more wins, but this is definitely a starting point. And of course, for any side, no better way to rebuild a season than knocking off your crosstown rivals. So of course, it's going to be a huge game for both the Crows and the Power. Port Adelaide, of course, we know, are going to have Sam Powell Pepper and Alir out due to injury. And, well, the Crows, this is definitely a win that they need to rebuild their season. It's going to be a huge game at the Adelaide Oval in front of a big crowd. And I think the Crows are just going to rise to the occasion. They know how to win a big game of footy, and I reckon they're going to win this game by 13 points and definitely try and get their season back on track. Friday night sees another huge rivalry, which will be in front of another huge crowd at the MCG. Carlton and Collingwood, this one is sure to be a huge game, and both these two sides have rediscovered some really good form in the past few weeks. But last week couldn't quite get the job done. Carlton were alright against Geelong, and Collingwood were alright against Essendon. Both sides weren't outstanding, but both sides definitely weren't their best. We know these two sides can play better footy than what they showed last week. And it's just going to be really who plays the better footy on Friday night. We know both these two sides play really good footy. Who's going to bring it better on Friday night? And I think Carlton will be the better of the sides by 7 points. I think their loss last week was probably a little bit more disappointing than the Anzac Day draw. I think they're going to be right in this game. I think both sides are going to be right in this game, but I do think Carlton is going to play a little bit better and win this one by 7 points. And, well, the rivalries and good games keep on coming with the second versus third Battle of the Bridge Sydney Derby between Sydney and the Giants at the SCG. This one is sure to be a huge game. Of course, you've got big names everywhere on the ground, and two sides playing some brilliant footy over the past few weeks and over the season, really. They're both on 24 points. On the ladder. They've both only lost to one game. Of course, one will be losing their second game this weekend. But this is such a huge game for these two sides. We know the Giants play the Tsunami brand of footy, and we know the Swans of the SCG are always a tough opposition to beat. The Giants did win this fixture last year, and then the Swans won the one at Giants Stadium. And I do think the Giants are going to win at the SCG again here by 6 points. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be all attack. I think the Giants are going to win by 6 points, but I reckon this will be a cracking game. Saturday twilight at Marvel Stadium is going to be St Kilda and North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. Of course, we know the Roos are winless and yet to win a game of footy, and well, they're going to want to win this one. They've been alright against St Kilda in the past, but this year they haven't really been that competitive. But they're going to want to bring their best. Marvel Stadium is a high-scoring game. High-scoring games normally happen under the roof at Marvel Stadium, and well, St Kilda, we know their offense isn't the best, but they do defend really well. And they're definitely going to want to win this game. I think they will win this game by 28 points. I think they're going to discover their best form. I don't think they're going to get a huge win here, but I think they're just going to do the job, get the win, take the 4 points, and move on to the next week. Saturday night is Melbourne and Geelong at the MCG. This one is another big game. It's a top 4 clash, and another good game in a round which has got plenty of those. Now, of course, we know the Cats are undefeated. They're the only side yet to lose in the competition. And Melbourne, last week they just got the job done against Richmond. It wasn't the most awesome game of footy. They didn't really destroy them until the last quarter, but they did play pretty well in the end. And, well, their forward line has always definitely been a concern, and they still haven't quite been able to score a lot this year. Whereas the Cats, I do just feel like they are better around the ground. They've just got more names everywhere, and they just, like, in terms of putting out a complete performance, I think they can put a more complete performance Geelong than what Melbourne can just because of that forward line. I think this is going to be a good game, though. It'll be evenly matched in the midfield, but I do just think the Cats' forwards will just be able to work the Melbourne defence better, and I think they'll win by 17 points. Not a huge smashing. I think it'll be low scoring, but I think it'll be a good game where the Cats will win by 17 points. The other Saturday night game is going to be in the West. It's going to be West Coast taking on Essendon at Optus Stadium. Essendon last week played pretty well against Collingwood in the Anzac Day game, but just couldn't quite finish it as both sides played okay. And West Coast, they played alright against Gold Coast. Wasn't the best game they've ever played, but going up to the Gold Coast and playing Gold Coast is pretty hard, and they did do a good job in the end, did the Eagles. They didn't get absolutely destroyed. They were competitive for pretty much the whole game, so I think they're going to be coming back to Optus Stadium feeling pretty strong, especially due to the way they've been playing the past couple of weeks. They knocked off Richmond and Fremantle before the game against Gold Coast. They're going to be pretty confident at Optus Stadium, having beaten a couple of sides there not too long ago. And of course, they're playing Essendon, which is a winnable game for them for sure. And I think it'll be a great game on the Saturday night. I think both these two sides definitely are going to want to prove a point in this game. I do think West Coast is going to be ultra competitive, but I do think Essendon will be too strong, winning by 18 points. I think this will be a great game of footy, but I do just think Essendon will be too strong, winning by 18 points in the end. Sunday footy kicks off with Richmond and Fremantle at the MCG Sunday afternoon, and this is a huge game for both these two sides. Fremantle do like the MCG and have pulled off a few brilliant wins there before, and the Tigers, of course, we know they need a win. They've only won the one game so far. They've probably looked better than that at times, but they definitely need this win, and I think it's going to be hard for them to get it just because of their poor injury list at the moment. It's definitely devastating when a club has so many injuries, and that's just what Richmond have, and it's just unlucky sometimes because the Cats had lots of injuries last year and finished mid-table, and the Tigers finished mid-table last year and have already got a lot of injuries this year, so it's not looking too good for them. But I do think the Dockers last week did rediscover their best form, scoring power, and I reckon they'll be able to score pretty well against an undermanned Richmond defence. I think they'll win this game comfortably by 31 points. I don't think it's going to be anything amazing, but I do think they're going to get the job done and get the 4 points in the end. Also on Sunday is going to be the Sunday twilight game at Marvel Stadium, which is going to be the Western Bulldogs taking on the Hawthorn Hawks. Hawthorn, they've been pretty disappointing the last couple of weeks. I mean, their win against North Melbourne was good, but nothing special. And then last week against Sydney was pretty disappointing in the end. They're going to be looking for a win this weekend. It's going to be pretty tough because they've got the Western Bulldogs, who have been definitely inconsistent this year, as they normally are, the Western Bulldogs. But yeah, that's just how the Western Bulldogs play sometimes. They've looked really good the last couple of weeks, and then last week against Fremantle, just not the greatest in the end, losing by 24 points. Now, I think this game is going to be a pretty comfortable win for the Western Bulldogs. I think Hawthorn will definitely compete for most of the game and be in it, but I do think the Dogs are just going to be too strong. We know they are good against some of the lower oppositions, the Western Bulldogs. They've got brilliant scoring power and all that, and I think they're going to win by 34 points in the end. Again, I don't think they're going to absolutely destroy Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn are going to be competitive, but I do think the Dogs are just going to be too strong in the end. And to finish off the round, we have a Sunday night game, Sunday night Q Clash, which is Brisbane and Gold Coast, and arguably this is another big game of the round. As I said, the big games keep on coming, and it finishes with the Q Clash. And both these two sides need a win, and it might sound a little bit less like that this game. Oh, both sides don't necessarily need a win, but they do need a win. Brisbane need a win and Gold Coast need a win. Both sides need a win just as much as each other. Brisbane, they need a win to try and rebuild their season, as I said, with Adelaide before trying to rebuild theirs. There's no better side to do it up against than your crosstown rivals, and Gold Coast are exactly that. For the Lions, it is at their Gabba home fortress, which they haven't won a game at yet this year. So they're going to be looking to win this one, and they just need a win. They've looked out of sorts this year. Brisbane haven't looked as good as they did last year. They definitely need a win. And Gold Coast, they have not won a game away from home yet, so this would be a huge confidence builder for their year. They've only won games at home, which have pretty much been teams they really should have been beating anyway, which they've won. And they've had some really disappointing and big losses away from home. They lost to the Western Bulldogs by a lot a while ago, and then also a couple of weeks ago to the Swans, they lost by a lot. So they cannot lose by a lot here. They need to be competitive, and they need to get this win. The Gold Coast Suns, both sides need to win. It is a huge stakes Q clash on Sunday night. This one was pretty hard to tip. I think the Lions will win by 9, but this one really I could see going either way, and it'll end a great round of footy. So here is my predicted ladder after round 8, and I still do have the Cats going 8-0, and I still have North Melbourne yet to win a game. Pause if you want to see the full, or pause if you want to read through everything. Alright, so I'll go through my round 8 tips again. It is Adelaide, Carlton, GWS, St Kilda, Geelong, Essendon, Fremantle, Western Bulldogs, and Brisbane. We have a great round of footy coming up this round, so feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Rivalries everywhere, big games everywhere. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Sending you guys and then miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flame Footy out.